It is said that in the right hand of God there are 7 hidden seals. When God opens the first 4 seals, 4 humanoid beasts riding on white, red, black, and pale horses will emerge, symbolizing conquest, war, famine, and death. The story of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse who come to destroy the world is written in the final book of the New Testament, the Book of Revelation by St. John. This book primarily speaks of prophecies concerning the Last Judgment Day. On that day, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse will walk the earth to wreak havoc. Humanity will enter an era where the majority of the population will be wiped out due to a combination of war, disease, and famine. The 4 horsemen in the Bible are unnamed and are distinguished only by the colors of their horses and the calamities they bring. However, they are often referred to as death, war, pestilence, and famine. The 4 horsemen were once righteous deities, good people, and courageous leaders. But why were they ultimately forsaken by heaven? We will answer this question in today's video. Before that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content related to the Bible. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, I pray that you receive many blessings from God. Amen. Let's begin. 1. The White Horseman Conquest. When the first seal was broken, a white horse would gallop across the sky, its mighty neigh resonating far and wide. On its back rode a knight clad in silver armor, crowned and wielding a majestic bow. This was Conquest. Conquest is the first of the 4 horsemen, later known to us as Pestilence. Some sources suggest that the white horseman symbolizes righteousness. However, with Pestilence, the white horseman would sweep across the world, spreading death among humanity. He is also seen as an invader, purging the earth of the sins committed by humankind. In his divine form, Conquest was celebrated and lauded with every descent to earth, bringing victory to fortresses and nations in battle. He was immersed in praise, wine, and spoils of war. One day he grew weary of the flattery. Disregarding the Lord's commands, he ventured to the place contrary to where he was meant to be. Before him lay the most abhorrent sights, rotting corpses trampled by scavengers and wails of despair filling the air. He looked around and saw the other 3 horsemen present. He approached War and asked, "Why? Why is it like this?" War smirked and replied scornfully, "O noble Conquest, where do you think the victories you boast come from, if not from these very things?" Conquest stepped back, quickly glancing at death, but he had already departed with famine. Everything had ended. All conquests or invasions rose from blood and tears. The following day, he remained silent amid the laughter surrounding him, observing the falsehoods, greed, and avarice in the faces around him. A mortal brought him wine. "Thank you for granting us victory. What if I took that victory from your fortress?" The mortal, a king of a realm, felt small before a god, afraid to displease such a powerful being. Conquest left the feast, filled with doubt and suspicion towards the human world. He harbored growing disdain for everything. At the heavenly gate, he encountered Death reading a book. Curiosity led him to ask, "Death, what book are you reading?" It's titled Eternal Life with the Heavens." "Hey, aren't we already like that?" I envy humans." "Why?" Death closed the book and gazed into the mortal realm, rarely seen in the golden light of the heavenly gate. He usually rode his gray horse to his shadowy domain below the earth. He did not dismiss Conquest's question, but looked at the radiant figure before him, contrasting sharply with the gloom of his own cloak. Slowly, Death replied, "Because they can die." "Kai. H.M. I still don't understand." "They can die at any moment. Each final moment is the most beautiful. They can fight and survive for that reason." Conquest fell silent as Death mounted his horse and began to leave, turning back to say, "Do not grow too close to humans. While they may honor you now, there will come a time when they will wither and blame you. That is the harsh reality of mankind." From then on, Conquest underwent a transformation in beliefs and thoughts, eventually becoming known as Pestilence, embodying death and decay. It is unclear when exactly this change occurred, but the goodness and evil within Pestilence remained ambiguous. His cruelty was not as extreme as that of the other 3 horsemen. 2. The Red Horseman, the Red Horseman War. The Red Horseman is often seen as the symbol of war. He rides a fiery red horse and raises a sword high, ready for battle. The color red is typically associated with fire and blood on the battlefield, and this horseman has the power to make people kill each other, symbolizing a global-scale war. The Red Horseman can also represent hatred and anger, elements that contribute to war and signal the end of the world. People will slaughter one another, and the horseman will bring death upon humanity. When conquest emerges with his ambitions, he is followed by the flames of war. War is the inferno. War is the mightiest and most ruthless war god in the seven heavens of God. He surpasses all legendary war gods in glory. He has never lost a battle, and it is said that, sometimes unsatisfied with his bloodlust, he even turns on his own soldiers. God punished him, sealing him in a seal on his arm, where he endures the most brutal flames day and night. But few know that this bloodthirsty being had a sorrowful past. In the beautiful and peaceful land of Alcadia, where the superior Nelfum race lived, ruled by a benevolent king, Veovis, he found his origins. This creation pleased God greatly, but he was slightly disappointed by their gentleness and mildness. They only knew trust and naivety toward the outside world. Intelligent but without ambition, they seemed like a beautiful but lifeless scene. One day, when the Felpum people rose against heaven, they taught themselves magic and forged weapons to challenge the sky. Their first target was the land of the Nelfum, which they saw as the best foothold to advance on heaven. The many strongholds of Alcadia gradually fell into flames, as the benevolent king, relying only on the holy warriors of the angel Val, couldn't understand why the god he so faithfully worshipped had withdrawn his army. In sorrow, he held his suffering people close. The battle reached the capital of Alcadia, and the Nelfum, ignorant of combat, put up a feeble resistance and quickly succumbed. Veovis looked up to the sky and cried out in desperation, "God, save your followers. I am willing to sacrifice everything to save my people." From the heavens, a radiant light shone down, revealing a red-robed angel. Smiling at Veovis, the angel said that no one could save the land except its emperor, who must fight. Veovis agreed immediately. The red-robed angel later revealed to be Satan handed Veovis a sword, promising that with it he would become an unbeatable warrior. The more enemy blood was spilled, the stronger the sword's wielder would become, as it absorbed the souls of the slain. Veovis grasped the sword, and for the first time felt drawn to such a deadly weapon. It made his blood boil with hatred for the atrocities committed by the Felpum. He went mad and roared. His entire body was engulfed in red flames, terrifying his once revered subjects. He lost all consciousness, consumed by the thought of massacre when he finally regained his senses and looked around. All that remained was a sea of blood and fire. Everyone, from enemies to his own people, had been destroyed in the inferno of war. From that moment on, the name Veovis was forgotten, only the name war remained. Later, war rebelled against heaven and was sealed by God into the second seal on his right hand, doomed to remain there until Judgment Day. 3. The Black Horseman famine. Another figure mentioned in the book of Revelation is the Black Horseman, who personifies famine. The black color of this horseman is often associated with human starvation and decay, the cries of the hungry, black crows picking at corpses, darkness, isolation, and desolation. The Black Horseman carries a pair of scales in his hand. Additionally, the Black Horseman symbolizes royal power, representing those who impose their rule over the lower classes. They hold power and dispense meager portions to the poor, keeping luxuries for themselves. When schemes are laid and war breaks out, famine and greed follow. The Black Horse arrives, bringing the dust of poverty and decay. Famine, whose power rivals that of death, can swallow even the most resilient fortresses and bring terror during times of war and hunger, which humans instinctively fear. Famine once delighted in watching humans writhe in great famines, and many consider him more terrifying than war, as he drives people to the brink of desperation beyond death. Though his status ranks below glory, war, and death, his power far exceeds that. Before achieving all this power, or rather before being known as Famine, he bore another name, Gok, a god who guarded the celestial gateways. Gok held the keys to the portals that linked the heavens. Gok was granted an additional role by the supreme god to maintain the natural balance of species, deciding which ones needed to go extinct and which should proliferate to keep the earthly realm stable. Though Gok's role was primarily to observe and record, the execution was God's responsibility. Gok roamed the earth, knowing every corner of the globe. He was a stern and rule-bound figure, respected even by angels of higher rank for his sharp intellect and impeccable conduct. It seemed inevitable that this gatekeeper god would rise to a higher position in heaven, possibly among the 4 archangels guarding the cardinal points. But on a fateful day, everything about him changed. Gok traveled to a certain land, rich in resources and blessed by nature. It was one of the wealthiest nations at the time, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who visited. Gok came to explore and enjoy this place, staying longer than usual and temporarily setting aside his duties. Gok, disguised as a wanderer, was seen as a traveler sketching the landscapes and recording the local flora and fauna. One day, as he passed by a small house, he encountered a stunningly beautiful girl who left him speechless, his heart pounding. The girl noticed him, smiled warmly, and initiated a conversation. Given his extensive travels, Gok had endless stories to share, and their conversations flowed effortlessly. Gok and the girl fell in love, though such a union was strictly forbidden in heaven. After spending time together, Gok decided to settle down there. He did not reveal his true identity to the girl and promised to marry her. Gok flew back to heaven, intending to relinquish his duties and powers to live a mortal life. As he reached the celestial gates, he encountered Lucifer. Seeing Gok holding his laurel wreath and staff, Lucifer stopped him and asked, "So? You want to abandon heaven for a girl?" "Yes, I find human life much more intriguing and wish to live on earth, my lord." "It's absurd. While these wretches long to ascend here, you wish to descend into the muck." "Respected Archangel, I know you disdain them, but humans have much to teach us." "Silence. You fool. Haven't you grown to despise those who should have been extinct long ago?" "I understand the earthly flaws that even God sometimes doesn't intervene in, but I also know everything has its balance. Nothing is perfectly flawless, not even you." Lucifer glared at Gok angrily. Being challenged by a subordinate was humiliating. Unable to restrain himself, Lucifer grabbed Gok by the collar, ready to crush him. But then Lucifer smiled slyly, lowering Gok slowly, knowing that a rash act would not serve him well. Lucifer spoke softly. "You may be right, but not entirely. You are a valuable asset in heaven, with significant responsibilities. How can you abandon them?" "I have come to understand that love is stronger than any power, stronger than any warrior's blade. I am weary of my duties and seek rest." "Ha ha ha, fine, but are you sure she won't betray you?" "I don't care. I have complete faith in the one I love." Gok replied firmly, his expression unwavering. Lucifer, aware of Gok's resolute nature, stepped behind him and whispered in his ear, "You will see, humans are not like us. Their hearts can change easily, and it won't be long." Lucifer walked away, and Gok didn't follow him. Behind the gate was someone he revered, someone he would bid farewell to. But Gok didn't touch it. He stood silently, lost in thought. He wasn't sure how long he pondered, but with a snap of his fingers, he was at the girl's house, now invisible. He watched her going about her usual activities until she approached a box. Silently moving behind her, he peered into the box and saw a beautiful necklace. He had never given her such a gift, so how did she have it? The girl softly called out, "Come out, I know you're here." What? She could see him despite his invisibility, or was it the intuition of two lovers? He smiled and was about to speak when a young man emerged from behind a hallway curtain. The girl and the young man embraced as if they were well acquainted. "My love, why do you seldom visit me?" "I fear that Fool might return at any moment, so I must be cautious." "HMP. That idiot will soon fall into our trap. Even the gods wouldn't see through my act." Gok was utterly stunned, starting to breathe heavily. He quickly flew away before losing his composure. But no matter how far along he traveled, the image of betrayal by the one he loved most lingered in his mind. Gok landed in the underworld, where there was a river of oblivion to drink from. When he arrived, Lucifer was already there, smirking and saying, "Is the mortal world as dull as heaven? So you've come here." "My lord, I realize my mistake. I need to forget it. Don't you understand? For a god like you, this water has no effect. What should I do then?" Gok was furious, whether from this realization or pent-up anger. Lucifer laughed and placed a hand on Gok's shoulder. "Use your power to consume all the filth." With that, Lucifer vanished, leaving Gok clenching his fists, his mind consumed by terrifying thoughts. The girl returned home, startled to find Gok sitting on a chair. She was initially frightened, but quickly changed her demeanor, proving herself a natural actress. "When did you get back?" "Trying to surprise me." "Do you have a gift for me?" "Oh, I have a gift for you." Gok presented her with the head of her lover. The girl screamed and fainted. Gok stood there, his wings turning black from breaking divine laws. He had killed someone. Gok flew high enough to overshadow the city with his hand. In one night, he turned the wealthy capital into the poorest place on earth, transforming all that was good into evil without hesitation. He reveled in observing the depravity of humanity within the city. Famine and disease spread everywhere. When the celestial army arrived, he was gone, knowing their movements well enough to avoid capture. From then on, he was known as Famine, the harbinger of hunger, his cruelty second only to war. 4. Death, the Pale Horseman. The final and fourth horseman, symbolizing the end, is the most fearsome of them all, Death. He is the only horseman given a name and the only one without a weapon, for he himself is the weapon. Death rides a pale horse, and he appears as a corpse. He extinguishes all life through various disasters and calamities. Death is considered the most significant horseman. When Death awakens, he brings hell to earth and delivers death to all sinners. When the smoke of war clears and natural disasters subside, what remains are souls looking at their bodies one last time. Then a pale, skeletal horse arrives to carry these souls away. The pale horseman appears, a gaunt figure draped in a black cloak. Life and death follow a cycle, and everything adheres to it. Death ends everything. Regardless of wealth, age, or status, even gods can die, let alone mortal beings. Death comes and goes as lightly as morning mist, often heralded by a gentle rain. His true name is Amigo. Death has been his power since the dawn of creation, and his strength rivals even that of God. Amigo lives a quiet life. No one wants to approach someone who can kill with just a cough. This is why he resides in a secluded part of hell, where sinful souls wail daily. He enjoys reading and conversing with scholarly souls. He doesn't find death terrifying. He believes that living in worse conditions than death is truly dreadful. Human life is filled with suffering from birth, and he simply ends that suffering. Amigo, like Gok, roams the world and is the last of the horsemen. Unlike the others, he is sealed away because he voluntarily submits rather than being captured. This is the story of the one horseman who never followed all of Lucifer's commands. He is neither belligerent nor brutal. His very presence is fearsome enough. In a small town, there lived a devout and pure-hearted orphan girl named Ella. She was kind and always helping others. One day, Amigo, disguised as a mortal, rode through the town and asked for a drink of water. Ella welcomed him warmly, even though she noticed the plants wither and the sky darken where he passed. She expressed her wish for everyone to live well. Amigo was deeply touched by her innocence and selflessness, seeing her as a bright and warm star. Amigo often visited Ella, bringing her books. Over time, he grew to see her as a daughter. He taught her many things and helped her pursue her dream of becoming a healer. Eventually, he revealed his true identity to her, but instead of fearing him, Ella loved him more. She wished that no one would ever die. Amigo smiled and said, "If you wish, I will ensure that no one in your land will die." "Are you serious?" "I am Death. I have no reason to lie to you." "That's wonderful. I'll tell everyone." Ella jumped for joy, but Amigo held her hand and added, "Think carefully, my child. I'll show you the complications of immortality." "How could it be complicated?" "Everyone will be alive with their families. It will be so joyous." "I will grant your wish. Soon I must return to the upper realm, but I will leave my emissaries to care for you. Your land will be exempt from my list." Ella happily informed the villagers, but they didn't believe her. Only after some time did they realize it was true, and they rejoiced, giving her many gifts. However, immortality brought unforeseen suffering. The elderly, unable to find peace in death, grew frail and the land became overcrowded. People began to resent the passage of time. Ella was blamed and despised, accused of defying nature. She wept and realized the truth in Amigo's warning. She awaited his return to rectify her mistake. One morning she heard a knock on the door. Opening it, she found two children, a boy in yellow and a girl in red, both around 7 years old. The boy handed her a letter from Amigo. "I foresaw that the villagers would turn against you. The price of immortality is unending sorrow. Humans bear perpetual grief. I now send my 2 emissaries to help you and the villagers find peace. Remember these. Do not feed the boy meat and do not let the girl touch blood. I can't explain further, but heed my words. I am detained in the upper realm and cannot join you now." Ella cried at the words of the one she had seen as a father. She looked at the children, who spoke first. "Master, we are here to serve you. Call me Ella. Can you lift the curse? I have prayed every night for my father to undo my terrible wish." "Yes, master, but you must leave this place." "Why?" "He does not want you to witness what you shouldn't see." "I understand. I will leave tomorrow. And you? We will lift the curse, and then return to our realm. Don't be so formal. What are your names?" "I am Roan, and she is Lithli. We serve your father, the Grim Reaper." "All right, I trust you. When shall we start?" "As soon as you are safely away. I will pack my things to leave immediately." As soon as Ella finished speaking, her door was kicked open. Unbeknownst to her, the town had assigned people to monitor her due to the growing hatred. Young men who had been eavesdropping outside stormed in, capturing her and the 2 children. They dragged her to the village center and tied her to a wooden stake. The mayor, after hearing the young men's account, declared, "This witch aims to kill us all under the guise of breaking a curse. No, I want to correct my mistake. I don't want others to suffer." Silence. "Kill her." "Yes, kill her. Burn her alive. Set up the pyre and burn this witch tonight, along with her 2 demonic accomplices. I beg you, they are just children. They have nothing to do with this. Let them go. No one wants to hear your lies anymore." The pyre was erected, and the villagers gathered to witness her execution. "Let's see if she really is Death's daughter. What do we do if she doesn't burn?" "Let's just see if she burns first. Don't talk nonsense." The children were being led to the pyre. Despite her pleas for their lives, Roan showed clear anger. As they approached the pyre, he didn't resist until he suddenly broke free and shouted, "You hypocrites! Ella cared for you, but you'll face our wrath now." Roan glanced at the girl in red, who nodded. Upon this signal, he bit a large chunk of flesh from the executioner's arm, causing him to scream in pain and push Roan away. Roan chewed the flesh and spat blood onto Lithli. Both children underwent a transformation. Roan morphed into a tall, muscular youth with gray skin and a cold expression, while Lithli became a grown woman surrounded by a red mist, her eyes blazing with fire. The villagers panicked and tried to flee, but a barrier, created by the now terrifying Lithli, trapped them. She floated above and spoke in a chilling voice. "You are unworthy of hell. I'll give you your own personal hell." The once cute girl was now terrifying, and Roan killed those nearby. Ella couldn't bear to watch. She remembered her father's warning and realized she was wrong. Despite the villagers' intent to kill her, she couldn't stand to see them suffer. She begged Roan and Lithli to stop, but they ignored her. Ella helplessly watched as Roan massacred everyone, with Lithli capturing their souls in her mist, condemning them to eternal unrest. Overwhelmed, Ella fainted. When she awoke, Amigo was by her bedside, placing a hand on her forehead. She pushed him away and turned, ashamed to face him. "Why didn't you warn me of the consequences?" Because I was once like you. I didn't want to kill, and now you know how it feels. Why, Father? Why make me witness such sorrow? Because I need you to replace me. Replace you. I will imprison myself in the seal of God. But you know I am soft-hearted. Why? I don't understand. My dear, my power has become uncontrollable, just like those two I left with you. But I know it's hard to bring death to others, but you always gently close the eyes of the dead. Only a kind person can take on this role. If you had ill intentions, humanity would be doomed. Father. Ella reached out for him, but he disappeared like the wind. From that moment, Ella became the new Grim Reaper of Hell. Amigo became Lucifer's final horseman. To this day, no one knows why he imprisoned himself, whether it was for the reason he stated or for something else. If you've watched this far, with the blessings of God, please share this with your loved ones, so they too can know about this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to motivate us to create more videos about the Bible. We hope to see you in the next video. May God bless and protect you always. Amen.